Hello, everyone. Today we are going to chat about the Delta XL paddle by Alpha Sport Pickleball, also known as Alpha Pickleball. So, a little bit about the Delta XL. This is a 16 millimeter paddle with an aramid Kevlar carbon fiber weave. So much similar to the original Pickleball Apes, Proline Energy and Proline Energy S with the aramid weave. Um, I believe there's a little more Kevlar than there is carbon fiber. You can see it in the face here. As you can see, the red shows more apparent than the black, but you can also see the black lines. Just want to see if the camera will focus on that real quick. Yep, perfect. So as you can see here, the difference in facing material. Other than that, a little bit about the paddle's specs. The paddle is 6.5 inches in height. It is a 5.5-inch grip length. It is a handle circumference of 4 inches. And the average stock weight is anything from 7.9 to 8.3 ounces. The company Alpha Sports also lists stats of what they think of the paddle in terms of spin. They have it as a 10 out of 10. In terms of control, they have it as a 9 out of 10. In terms of feel, they have it as a 9 out of 10. In terms of sweet spot, they have it as a 9 out of 10. In terms of power, they have it as an 8 out of 10. In terms of pop, they have it as a 6 out of 10. So overall, they rank it fairly high as what I believe to be one of their premier paddles. And let's chat a little bit about this paddle. So first of all, I feel like you can't talk about this paddle without mentioning the original Pickleball Apes paddles as well as the new ones. So I did bring to compare throughout this video with me the Pickleball Apes Pulse S, which is pretty much the identical shape to the Delta. As you can see here, the Delta is just a smidge longer. So you can see just that little tiny ridge right there. And that's just because the Delta is technically an elongated with an arrow curve, whereas the Pulse S is a hybrid. So with that being said, we'll go further into the review now. So my overall thoughts on the paddle are as follows. I would classify this as an all court leaning control. I would not call this a power paddle whatsoever, but I wouldn't necessarily call it just a straight up control paddle either. I do think it has some power. I think it has decent pop. I think the 6 out of 10 for pop is probably right where I would put it, like a 6 to a 6.5 if I'm ranking it out of 10. I think the power is about like a 7 out of 10. I think that the control is a 9 out of 10, just like they put as well. I think the spin is about an 8.5 to 9 out of 10. I have it a little lower than how they rated it. I think the sweet spot's pretty big on this thing. I think it's an 8 out of 10. I think that's really good sweet spot for an elongated kind of hybrid elongated-esque shape. And I think that the feel is probably an 8 to a 9 out of 10. I've always found that all of the aramid fiber, the carbon fiber, Kevlar paddle combo facing materials give great feel personally. They've been some of my personal favorites. They've been a lot of what I've mained in the past few months, leading into, the winter seasons here in New England. And I find that they have the best feel out of most of the other paddles that we test outside of, putting it in a wide body shape, and at least in terms of an elongated and hybrid paddles. So that's my personal take on the facing material. I'm a big fan of it. I will say this is what I would consider still kind of that like older version of the aramid fiber, as I have here with the Pulse S. As you can see, the weave is a lot tighter on the Pulse S than it is on the Delta. And that's just because the Pulse S has that newer, tighter weave where it's more Kevlar than carbon fiber. And it also just kind of colors a little different compared to the older one. But with that being said, I think that the Delta XL is a good paddle by all means, and I could recommend it to the right player. I think this is a player that, might be coming from a wide body that they, maybe want a little more power from, but not a ton of power from. And they want a little bit more reach, in particular, maybe on, a certain side or in a certain, form of doubles, but I think that this would be a great, paddle for that person looking to take that step up into a more elongated paddle without going super elongated. And so, personally, where I would rate it is I would rate it as, it's kind of around where its new price is. So, its old price was just under $200. Its new price currently is 174.99 US dollars, and that is before discount code DDOG underscore pickleball. After the discount code, that should bring it down to, I believe, about 165-ish. So it's in a decent price range. I think the price is a tad high for what you're getting out of it. I think this paddle, if it was priced at, like $150, it would be a much easier recommendation. Again, it's a small margin, but it is a margin nonetheless. And then overall, I just want to say I do really like this paddle. I actually was pondering switching from the Pulse S to this as my main solely because I wanted more control, a little more control, not a ton, but a little more in certain scenarios. And so I was pondering it for that, but my Pulse S actually ended up just kind of, instead of breaking in like everyone claims, it just kind of ended up becoming more controllable, and I got more used to kind of the Gen 3, power and pop with it over time. And so I'll be sticking to that for now. But this will certainly be staying in my bag as a backup paddle, or on days that I feel I'm just, popping the ball up too much. I would probably pull this thing out right away and pop on over to it personally. So, with that being said, this is a good paddle. I would recommend it. One of the cool things about Alpha Pickleball is it's one of the newer brands in the pickleball space, and they offer a wide variety of paddles. And to my knowledge, I believe their warehouse is US based. It says on their website that they have a New York warehouse. I don't know if that means they have out of the US warehouses as well or not. I have not had a chance to speak in depth with Alpha Pickleball about that, but I look forward to as they continue releasing more paddles and we get a chance to try them. So, with that being said, I am a fan of the Delta XL personally. It's currently my favorite paddle of their current lineup. Be sure to check them out. I will link a link to their store in the comments. Be sure to check that out as well. If you haven't yet, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And be sure to use discount code DDOG underscore pickleball when checking out at Alpha Sports. All right. Thanks, everybody.